Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are staying safe. So, guys, Terence Crawford. A lot of people are saying that he's going to sign with PBC. Now, we know that he's got this situation with Sean Porter. Let's see how all of this plays out. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. Because if they can't reach a deal, then this is going to go to purse bids. And then everyone's going to be in the play. DAZN, PBC, and of course ESPN. They're all going to be in play now. I would like to think that if they can reach a deal, then it will be on ESPN. I don't know how big Porter Crawford will be on PBC, but if PBC want to do the fight, then what they'll do is they won't agree a deal, or Sean Porter won't agree a deal. And then what I think they'll do is they'll look to go to purse bids, and whoever wins the purse bids will basically broadcast the fight. I think that might be the best for the fighters, because I think for a fight like this and for the fighters to get paid, I think that's probably the best way for them to get paid the most money, because I think there'll be broadcasters like DAZN, there'll be broadcasters like Thriller that would want to get that fight, because it may not be a big deal to ESPN, it may not be a big deal to Fox, so to speak. I'm not saying it is or not, I'm just saying, but to someone else it may be, to DAZN it may be, to Thriller it may be. Like they bought Cambosos v Lopez, and they paid Lopez a lot and Cambosos a lot of money. Look, the purse bid for that was something like 4 point something million, right? So if they're willing to do that for Lopez Cambosos, Porter Crawford is a much bigger fight than Lopez Cambosos. You know, Cambosos never been world champion. Lopez hasn't got the profile. Even though he's a big name, he hasn't still not as big as Crawford, and Porter's a way bigger name than Cambosos in America. So you'd have to say, from a commercial standpoint, that fight between Crawford and Porter is much bigger than Lopez Cambosos. Yet Thriller was willing to pay a huge amount of money. So what's to say that there won't be another broadcaster or a new broadcaster that we've never heard of that wants to get, you know, their foot in the door, that won't be putting in a huge deal for that, or huge amount of money for that, or a huge bid for that? You know, so this is why I think it's going to be intriguing, because it's going to be intriguing to see if it does go to purse bids. I think the fighters are going to obviously win, of course, because I think they'll get paid a lot. I think someone will come in and put in a huge bid, like like Lopez Cambosos fight, and the fighters will benefit from that. So I think the fighters probably would benefit it going to purse bids, because I don't think if they reach a deal, I don't think either guy would be getting as much as they can. I think this is the ideal scenario for both guys. Would it to go to purse bids? Obviously, we're hearing rumors that, you know, Terence Crawford's last fight is in October. So now, if his Porter is his next fight, that'll be his last fight with ESPN. However, if he does, him and Top Rank part ways after their contract, there is rumors that, you know, he's going to sign with PBC. Now that would be definitely be the likely outcome, because of the fact that, you know, Crawford will be able to fight all the PBC guys. However, this Porter fight becomes a big fight for Crawford, because if Porter beats Crawford, PBC aren't going to want to sign Crawford. What good is Crawford to PBC? So I think PBC obviously will only be interested in Crawford if he wins against Porter. Otherwise, they're not really going to be interested, are they? Why would PBC be interested in Crawford if he loses to Porter? So there's a lot of pressure on him, because if he does part way with Top Rank and he ends up losing to Porter, then Crawford's in the who needs me club. Where does he go? It'll be difficult for Crawford. You know, Crawford's career will be in a very, very difficult place if he was to lose to Porter. And Mike mentioned this as well, that if Crawford was to lose to Porter, where does he go? What does he do? Because your legacy potentially could be tarnished, because people will say, oh, the reason why you were undefeated is because you fought nobody, and as soon as you stepped up against somebody half decent, you got beat. So his legacy's, you know, at risk. And then also his career is on the line, because, like I said, if he loses, he's in a place where he's in a who needs me club. No one's going to be willing to fight Crawford. No one's going to be willing to give Crawford a shot. Crawford isn't a big star. He isn't a big name. So not many broadcasters are going to be, be pushing to get him, because they know that he's not exactly going to move the needle. He's not a huge star. But if he was to beat Porter, then obviously PBC would definitely be interested, because he'd be a champion. He'd beat one of their guys, and they would love to then get him into their roster and get him involved in fights with all of the guys that they've got. Timothy Bradley said that he feels that even if Terence Crawford goes to PBC, the fight don't happen. I disagree. I think Al Heyman will make the fight happen. I think he'll make it appealing to Spence and Crawford enough for it. But I think in order for that to happen, I think Crawford needs to be signed with PBC, which looks likely, especially if he beats Crawford. And if it is true that his contract runs out in October, it looks very likely that that might become a very strong possibility of him signing with PBC. I also think it's very important for him to get the fight between the winner of Manny Pacquiao and Spence. And that's what we want. It's disappointing that the WBA... I don't know. I saw Pacquiao with the WBA belt, and there are rumors that he got it back, but I don't think... I think Ugas is the champion. I don't think the WBA reinstated him. So that's disappointing, because now that means is... What that means is that Pacquiao and... Pacquiao and what's his name? Spence aren't going to be fighting for 3 belts. They're going to be fighting for 2. So... And if Pacquiao did get that belt, they would have had 3. The winner of that fight could have fought Crawford right away after, or the winner of Crawford Porter could have fought the winner of Pacquiao Spence, and that would have been for the undisputed. So this is why I think it's disappointing, because now what that means is Ugas is the champion, and I won't be surprised if Al Heyman gets Ugas to fight Thurman, and then the winner of Spence Pacquiao is kind of in a position where they have to fight Thurman. So that's if he beats Ugas, or the winner of that fight fights the winner of Pacquiao Spence, more so than the Crawford. I think Crawford and Porter are going to do their thing most likely and fight. And the winner of that fight will have to... Either what they'll do is they'll fight the winner of Ugas Thurman, right? And then the winner of that is a unified champion that could fight the winner of Pac Spence. That's what ideally... That's why I think it was so important for the WBA to reinstate Pacquiao, because that would have meant that we would have got an undisputed champion if the winner had faced Crawford. Whereas now we're gonna have to... Ugas is in the mix, and Ugas has to fight the winner of Pacquiao Spence in order for there to be a 3-belt unification. Then obviously the winner fights Terence Crawford, or maybe Terence Crawford fights Ugas if he joins the PBC next. And maybe Spence, in the meanwhile, if he was to beat Pacquiao, could fight Thurman, or the winner could fight Thurman. Who knows? I just think it's kind of strange, because I thought the WBA, stripped Manny Pacquiao, or not stripped, it made a champion in recess, because of the fact that they felt that Manny Pacquiao wasn't going to fight the legit welterweight contenders. But Manny Pacquiao then ended up fighting Errol Spence, which is strange, because Ugas has... They made Ugas the champion, but he hasn't even fought. So I'm kind of confused to what actually happened there. And then obviously now that Manny did fight Errol Spence, he didn't even get reinstated. So he basically, for me, has been stripped, really, which I don't quite understand, because obviously it was a pandemic. I think and Manny did come out and say a lot of the rumors that were circulating were rubbish. So a lot of the rumors that were circulating around weren't always true. So maybe that made the WBA make their decision they made. But then now that Manny is fighting Spence, they're not willing to go back on it. The Ugas is still the champion. Fair enough. It just means that we may need Terence Crawford to fight Ugas if he signs with the PBC. If he signs with the PBC, I think Al Heyman will make that fight. I didn't think he would make a fight between Ugas and Terence Crawford, because he wouldn't want 2 of the belts to be held by somebody across the other side of the street, as they would say. But I think if he signs with PBC, I think Al Heyman's not going to be reluctant at all to make the fight. I think he'll make the fight in a heartbeat. So I do think the fight will happen. That if Crawford was to sign with PBC, I want to see there be an undisputed welterweight world champion. I want to see who's the best out of the bunch. I want to see all of these guys fight each other and see who comes out on top. I really want to see it. So let's hope we get this fight, because let's hope we get all these fights. If Terence Crawford does sign with a PBC, I'm not sure the winner of Pacquiao Spence will be next. I think he may even get an Ugas fight in his first fight, you know, with the PBC, because that will be a unification fight between him and Ugas. So if he was to beat Ugas, then the winner of that can fight the winner of Spence Pacquiao. I think obviously if Crawford is going to fight Porter and then they do give him an Ugas fight after, that's going to take some time. We're looking at that fight, Porter, we're looking at probably November, October. So then Crawford's going to need a rest. And then, you know, we're talking about March, April next year, most likely. If that's how it works out, he fights Ugas maybe April next year in a unification bout. But in the meantime, Spence is fighting Pacquiao next month. He's going to need to fight again. Maybe fight twice again, you know. So, yeah. It's going to be interesting times in the welterweight division to see how it all plays out. I can't wait to see what Crawford's next moves are. I can't wait to see how this situation between Crawford and Porter plays out. Does it go to purse bids? Do ESPN reach a deal? Do they agree to do it on Fox? Bob Arum has come out and said that, you know, he's confident that a deal can be reached. So obviously it shows that Bob Arum wants that fight on ESPN, wants it on their platform. But at the same time, we know that Bob Arum's been reluctant to, you know, pay a lot of money for Crawford fights for the opponents, because he doesn't think that Crawford brings in that kind of interest or revenue. So I think personally it's going to go to purse bids. I think it's going to go to purse bids. And then obviously someone's going to come in with a huge offer and the fighters are going to benefit. Like I said, if it does go to purse bids, I think the fighters are one that's going to benefit. I think Crawford and Porter and those guys will probably be hoping it goes to purse bids. They're hoping that they can't reach in a deal. And they can do that. If they're not happy with the terms, they can let it go to purse bids. And then anyone can bid for it. And then it becomes, you know, like an auction almost. Whoever bids the highest wins it. Like Thriller did with Kambosos Lopez, it went to purse bids, and Thriller won the purse bids. You know, maybe DAZN might go in for a huge offer for that fight between Crawford and Porter. Maybe PBC put in a huge offer. Maybe ESPN, you know, pull their finger out and put in a huge offer. Anything's possible. But will Crawford get the winner of Manny Pacquiao Spence? Hopefully, if he signs with PBC, that fight definitely comes closer. But then there's also another fight with Ugas. And ideally, what you want is, you want Pacquiao and Spence, the winner of that, to fight Ugas while Crawford fights Porter, right? And then do a unification fight between Porter and the winner of the fight between Pacquiao, Spence, and I personally think Pacquiao and Spence would beat Ugas. So I think obviously the winner of that fight, whoever wins that fight, if they are to fight Ugas, I think they'll beat Ugas. So I think the winner then fights Terence Crawford in an undisputed fight. I think that's what I think we will like to see. We all like to see the best fight the best, and we want to see the titles unified. We want to see a unification fight. And that's what we all like to see. But leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think. Do you think the Terence Crawford-Sean Porter fight will go to purse bids, or do you think they'll reach a deal prior? Do you think Terence Crawford will sign with PBC? And how important do you think him beating Porter is to him signing with PBC? Do you think Terence Crawford will get the winner of Pacquiao Spence? Leave your thoughts. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.